Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of On Point for today, Friday, the 18th day of October 2024. And indeed, it's my pleasure to be here once again with you. And it's always good to come and spend an hour with all of our listeners and viewers. Of course, I was not here last week. I tend to have to apologize a lot these days. But anyway, it's what it is. And I'm happy to be here once again on a Friday afternoon. As I've said in the past, it is my my lunch break, and it is certainly an hour that is well spent on every occasion when I come. So that being the case, let me say hello and good afternoon to all those who are listening throughout the whole island of Nevis, all 5 parishes: St. James, St. Thomas Parish, St. Paul's, St. John, St. George's, all of the parishes here on Nevis. And of course, we do have a good following down there on St. Kitts. Powerhouse is not just a Nevis radio station, it is the powerhouse of the Caribbean. So of course, let me touch all of our listeners down there in St. Kitts. And beyond the shores of the Federation, we go into Statia, Sabre, St. Bart's, into French and Dutch St. Martin, into the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. I tend to identify these islands and countries because, of course, without the listenership, we won't be on the air, because, of course, the listenership is what drive the economics around here, and the listenership is what make us proud of the job that we're doing here as an institution. And I say we, because I'm a part of this institution. I come here and have a program, so at least I'm a part of it. And I certainly identify with the slogans and everything that the management and team here identify with as well. So Puerto Rico, the U.S., the entire U.S., from the eastern seaboard all the way across to the west. Canada, England, of course, it's afternoon there. I say good afternoon to you there in England who are listening. And of course, in Asia at this time, it is 1 o'clock in the morning, just after 1 in the morning. So I say good morning to those who are still up and listening, because we do have citizens who are there, whether studying, trying to further themselves in the education field, or whether they're working there, whatever their trip would have, whatever they would have gone there for, on whatever trip they're on. So I've covered everyone, and of course, indeed, it is once again my pleasure to be here. Okay, last week I was not here, so there are a few things that I may have missed out on last week. But what I want to say this week, let me start first of all with what we normally would do in terms of expressing condolences to all those who are grieving or in the bereaved column at this particular point in time. I don't have anyone in particular on my list, but I want to just say that we spoke about Mr. Hervey Maynard a couple of weeks ago. He would have departed this life about 2 or 3 weeks ago. We now know that the funeral service for Hervey Maynard would be on Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. thereabout, I believe, 3 p.m. up there at the St. James Anglican Church, well, the church that I attend as well too. And of course I did speak about Hervey then, and I'll probably just say at this point in time that we certainly will miss Hervey because of the role he played in that church and the role that he played in the community on a whole over there in St. James and throughout Nevis. He was a part of the returning national community or society, and indeed they themselves would certainly miss Hervey, because he was one who I believe was the PRO, or maybe the one who coordinated social events. But whatever it is, he will be certainly missed. And so those of us who can should go out and support the family on Tuesday afternoon at 3 p.m. up there at the St. James Anglican Church. Moving right along, of course, we normally would express our best wishes to those who are celebrating at this point in time as well. There are persons who celebrated last week. I want to wish you in a belated form happy birthday, but of course I know those who would have celebrated last week, I believe they would have had a wonderful time. My cousin Chanel would have celebrated, I believe, last Wednesday. I was supposed to mention that when I come on the last week, but I was not here. That being the case, I know Chanel would have had a wonderful time, and all those who celebrated then. I also want to express about the greetings this time around, though, to my friend Aubrey Jones up there in camps. Aubrey would have celebrated yesterday, and of course, Aubrey, I hope you had a wonderful day, and indeed enjoy the rest of the month as well, because celebration of a birthday lasts not just a day, an entire month, and persons like you should celebrate for the rest of the year as well. So I wish you well and wish you many more, Aubrey. Also, I want to express birthday greetings this time around, though, to someone who is celebrating today. I think I heard this morning that Annette Swanston there from Brick Hill is celebrating her birthday today. Annette, happy birthday. Have lots of fun, and as I always say, whatever monies you have, go and spend some on yourself, and if you can spend not all but as much as you can to have as much fun as you can, please do so, and then you can certainly replenish that as you work and go along in your life. I also want to go further afield and express birthday greetings to my good friend down there in Anguilla, Mr. Joey Gomes. I met Joey back in 1987, I believe, in Montserrat, when we went there for what was my first AYPA conference. He was there at that conference as well, along with the contingent from Anguilla and so forth. But I met Joey then, and since then until now, he has been my friend. And of course, he's celebrating on Monday. I won't be on the radio on Monday, so I'm saying happy birthday to you, Joey. Perhaps somebody would tell you that they heard your name being called on radio by myself. So I know why I'm doing this is because you have been a good friend to me, and I'm saying it publicly from then until now. I can call on you, you can call on me. And I remember when I celebrated my 50th birthday, well, lo and behold, it was a surprise you were there. Somebody must have known, or some persons must have known that you're my friend as well, so they invited you. So, be that as it may, I want you to have a wonderful time when your birthday comes, Joey, and enjoy, as they say, enjoy it to the max, and make sure you enjoy it as if there's no other to be enjoyed. But I wish you many more birthdays to come, okay? So that is my birthday list for today, and I just want to say, anyone who I did not, whose name I did not call, I want to say to you, enjoy your birthday, enjoy your anniversary, enjoy whatever celebration or whatever event you're celebrating, and please do so in a healthy and a pleasant way and a pleasing way, so that at least you can be around to celebrate many more. Okay, now the weather situation outside, it's steamy and piping hot outside. We are experiencing some tranquil weather at this point in time. There are persons, though, throughout the world who are experiencing different weather systems and different weather patterns than we are experiencing at this time. But last week, for sure, the folks in Florida, let's say on the west coast going into central Florida, had some tumultuous time dealing with Hurricane Milton. And of course, prior to that, I believe it was about 10 days or so prior to that, persons on the west coast, central Florida, Georgia, and places like North Carolina dealt with Hurricane Helene. Now, I am touching on those because we're still in the hurricane season. It is still important for us to keep or be vigilant at this time, because the hurricane season goes until November, and even though November 30th comes, sometimes there are storms thereafter. But anyway, we're hoping that it will end, and our duress, so to speak, will end on the 30th of November. So between then and now, we still have to be vigilant. We still have to keep an eye on the African coast. There's a system that passed us last night, which was pretty much north of us, but it appears that it may very well become something of a concern to other islands and countries west of us. But be that as it may, we continue to pray for the folks who have experienced difficult times during the last two hurricanes, Milton and Helene. I know they are not in our area, they're in the United States, but we have friends and families who are there, who would have been impacted by those storms. And so we wish them all the best and hope that they'll recover accordingly. And so we have been spared, and we continue to pray for God's protection and his blessings throughout this hurricane season. Because I've said before, and I continue to insist, that these storms can move from a category, well, from a tropical storm or tropical wave all the way up to a category 6 hurricane in a short period of time, within hours or within days in some cases. And so it is always important for us to keep an eye on what's happening around us and understand these storms are ferocious in nature, and they create maximum damage when they pass through any area, whether it's our area or through the United States. And even though the United States have a lot of resources, to rebuild after a storm is always a challenge, a huge challenge. You can imagine that you have built your house 25 years ago, for example, and all of your resources have been poured into that house, and you build it and you decorate it and put all of the nice you know, what do you call it, decorations or ornaments and whatever you do to fix up your house to your liking, and then within the space of an hour or 2 hours, all that is lost. I just want us to wrap our head around that and understand the challenges and the difficulties that those persons in the United States and so forth who would have had to deal with hurricane conditions and the disastrous situations that they're dealing with. You can wrap your head around that and understand what they're dealing with. And so it may not be our problem today, it is their problem, but we continue to pray and hope that those storms stay away. Okay, so I'll leave that for now. But before I leave it quickly, I just want to say, though, one thing I can tell you, and one thing I can say, is that these storms that are being tracked by, whether by technology or the persons who go out on these or in these hurricane reconnaissance plane, these aircraft that fly into the eye of the hurricane and send back the data to the various agencies that monitor and track these systems. I have to say that based on the tracking that they would have issued for these particular storms, they were bang on, pretty much bang on. They were pretty much accurate with their predictions, and that tells us that we have come a long way in terms of technology and how these storms are tracked. Sometimes in the past you hear an announcement and you probably would see something happening different to what was announced. But anyway, these days the tracking is almost precise, and I want to say that we have, as I said before, we have come a long way. So let us keep our eyes to the east or the west coast of the United States. Yeah, okay, let me move on. Last week I was supposed to speak about an event that we attended over on St. Kitts, which is the celebration of the 113th National Day celebration of the Republic of China, Taiwan. They are our friends, and we would have gone over to St. Kitts to celebrate with them last Wednesday. The celebration is on the 10th of October, but of course based on the hours that we are behind, 12 hours behind. While we were celebrating here in the evening, on Wednesday evening, on Monday morning at 7 a.m., sorry, they were celebrating there in the Republic of China, Taiwan. And why I bring that up is because we certainly continue to be one of the best friends to the Republic of China, Taiwan. And I like when the Premier speaks, Premier Brantley, because he have this quote, and this tagline, which I want to quote at this point in time. He always said that the Republic of China, Taiwan is not just our friend, but our best friend. And we've had diplomatic relations with the Republic of China, Taiwan for the past 41 years. When we became independent, they were the first country, first nation that we would have established diplomatic ties with, and so we stand in solidarity with them. Of course, over the last couple of days, we've seen some escalation in military exercises not in but around the Republic of China, Taiwan by the People's Republic of China, which says they have, that Taiwan belongs to them as an island. Yeah, those are diplomatic things that would have to be flushed out accordingly by those nations. But I would want to say at this point in time, we stand in solidarity with Taiwan as a nation that has governed itself for the last 113 years. And of course, we want to stand with them because they've been a provider to us in many ways. Of course, they would have assisted us. Sorry, I'm getting tied up with my tongue here. They have assisted us in healthcare, in education. I did mention earlier that there are students who are right there in the Republic of China, Taiwan, who are studying at this point in time, free of cost in many regards, because that is a way for them to ensure that we are receiving the necessary training to assist us here in St. Kitts and Nevis with our overall development. Of course, they have assisted us and continue to assist us in agriculture and in national security. They have provided vehicles for police, for the prison. They've also invested in infrastructure. Down there at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, that is an investment that we would have partnered with the Republic of China, Taiwan. Of course, the Eco Park in St. Kitts, that is there as an investment in the Federation as well. And also a solar park over there at RLB, and also up there by the development, but not the development, this Central Bank area, that the square, that roundabout coming out of Abaste heading towards Frigate Bay. So we want to thank the Republic of China, Taiwan for their partnership and for their assistance to us. And indeed, we continue to make it clear to the international community that Taiwan can play a role in many different areas throughout the world, in terms of once they're granted any, if they're granted any relationship, or they are granted a seat at the table, so to speak, with the World Health Organization, with ICAO, which is the International Civil Aviation Authority, or whether they're granted any seat at the table with UNESCO, or even ILO, which is the International Labour Organization, or the International Maritime Agency or organization. Those organizations fall under the ambit of the United Nations, and I do believe that the Republic of China, Taiwan, can play a major role in those areas. It's one of the largest producers of semiconductors in the world, and so it therefore means that whatever technology that they produce in Taiwan is being consumed throughout the world, whether it's in your cell phone, your computer, or any other technical device. You can certainly say that they play a part in those operations of those particular technical devices. So that is my piece in terms of how I feel about the Republic of China, Taiwan, and the role they can play. I can further say just quickly that during COVID-19, they would have been a leading country in terms of their supplies and the impact they had during those tumultuous time. And they certainly have the resources, they have the technical ability, and they also can play a major part in the overall development of the international and the global space. So that is my piece on that, and I wish the Republic of China, Taiwan well, and I want us to continue to forge ahead as partners in terms of the relationship between St. Kitts and Nevis and the Republic of China, Taiwan. So congratulations on your 113th anniversary, and I wish you many more. But the situation of military exercises and so forth, that is one that is of concern, and the world today is in such dire straits, so to speak, where there are wars in the east, wars in the west, wars in the north and in the south. There are conflicts all over the world, and the world cannot undertake another conflict at this point in time. So we are hoping that cooler head would suffice, and that we can all live in harmony so that this world can get back to some position of stability. Because every war creates a difficult situation for us here in this part of the world. We call ourselves the global south. So whatever happened in Asia, whatever happened over there in Russia and Ukraine, whatever happened in Israel and Iraq and Iran and those places, certainly will have an impact on us in terms of the economic impact, whether it's the cost of oil, whether it's the cost of goods that come from those regions. They all have an impact on us in terms of final prices to us here and final cost to us here in the Caribbean. So that is why I say we will continue to ask and beseech all those who are out there proposing war or pushing for war. We are asking persons to have some dialogue. Have some dialogue, and there is a way other than war to gain peace. Yes? So let's move on quickly because time is flying by sometimes. Oh, last time I was here, I believe I spoke about the Pork and Beer Festival, which will be held up there in Brick Hill, up there at the Hard Court, where the old Whitehall School playground is. So last time I did not have a full entertainment schedule here for you, but I see a new poster have been published by the Link Production or Promotion Group, which include Alexis Jeffers and all of his other associates. I said Alexis Jeffers because I can recall 4 or 5 years ago, he came and asked for some ideas as to what can be done to do some promotion and keep the young fellows together and what's that. I told him, listen, I believe you should start with something like a pork and beer festival. Gave him the ideas, he ran with the ideas, and of course 4 editions later it is still going on and going strong. I was not able to attend last year, like I said some time ago, because it normally would clash with another event another activity that I would undertake. But be that as it may, this time around, all being well, I'm hoping to be around for this one. So it's the 23rd of November, and of course it starts at 12 p.m. and goes until. Now the lineup in terms of entertainment are on the poster already, and this look like a good lineup. We have here the Odyssey Band, we have the New Vibes Band International, we have Itebulous, I spoke about him before, DJ Wet Dot, DJ Smudge, and SG Presidential Sound. So that's a full lineup there from 12 midday until I say until, I don't know if it's going to go just until 12 midnight or what, but they said 12 until. And of course they'll have what they call a pop-up happy hour. They'll have a beer drinking and pork eating competition. They'll have lots of giveaways, lots of local pork dishes, local food will be on sale. Well-stocked bar would be there as well, a variety of beers and local drinks on sale. So it will be a full celebration over there at the old Whitehall School grounds right there on the Hard Court. And the interesting thing, they're saying all of this, the entry to all of this entertainment is free. Could you imagine that? You're getting DJ Wet Dot, you're getting Itebulous, you're getting Odyssey Band, you're getting New Vibes Band International, you're getting DJ Smudge, you're getting SG Presidential, all of that entertainment for free. I don't know how they're going to do that, but I say anything that is free, go and partake. But when you go, make sure you buy as much pork, as much beer, as much local drinks, partake in everything, and make sure that it is a successful event for these young gentlemen who are putting on this event. I love the event, and it has been successful thus far. And the good thing about it, sometimes you hear we're going to have the first annual event, and you have it, and then you don't hear about the second, you don't hear about the third, and you'll hardly hear about the fourth anyway, once you don't hear a second. So the fact that they're having a 4th annual event tells me that there is something good about this event. And I spend some time on it because I want them to continue to press on. Just like we have Herbert Beach affair, which is going on over there for the last 27 years. That is good. There are other events throughout the island of Nevis as well that has been ongoing for a number of years. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes some seriousness, and it takes a collaborative effort for these things to continue. And so I am happy that these gentlemen have been able to press on with this. And indeed, hopefully they'll have some pork meat over there for sale as well. To meaning, if it is not prepared, but at least you can buy some pork meat and go home and prepare it as well. So I wish them well on the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd of November. That's an event, and I think I've given that some good enough promotion. So let me move on. Tomorrow, there are lots of things happening on the island. I just want to put in this plug quickly. Of course, they have primary school football going on down there in the park this afternoon. That is in the E.T. Willett Park, and it has been going on for some time. I've seen some good crowds, and I want this afternoon, as a Friday afternoon, when all of the work is done and you're on your way home, you tell yourself, let me stop off at the park and spend a couple of hours and support the children from all of the various primary schools. It seems as though the competition has been very good up to this point in time, and there are a number of matches on for this afternoon, so I would encourage all of us to go down and spend some time there and give the support to those young men. I said men, young boys and young girls, because they're girls who are playing for some of the teams. So give them their support, okay? But tomorrow, though, is an event which is put on by the Pink Lily group here on the island of Nevis. Pink Lily Walk 2024. It starts over there at 6 a.m. sharp over at the that's the Clegot area, Meads Pasture area. Anyone who knows where Eva Wilkin Art Studio is, that same road in that particular field or that particular space, that's where it would begin tomorrow at 6 a.m. sharp. And of course they're selling t-shirts at $60 for adult t-shirts, and children will be $30. So it will be certainly worth it tomorrow to go out and support. I will say that I will go and support myself, because indeed my mom passed away 20 years ago. As a matter of fact, in January of this year would have marked 20 years. She would have passed away in 2004, and so from breast cancer, I would say. And indeed, I am always willing to support these particular type of events, because I understand what the emphasis is and what the objective is in terms of bringing to the fore the difficulties and challenges of cancer, and what it can mean to a family, and what it can mean to someone who is actually going through such difficulties. So we'll walk tomorrow in support of eradicating cancer, or supporting those who are going through those challenges in whatever way. We're going to go there and lend our support, both financially and also our presence. Okay, so that takes care of that. And I believe I had one other bit of information that I had to pass on. Maybe not, but if it comes up as I go along, I certainly would mention accordingly. But yes, it's 1:30 now, so let's go on to something else. Okay. Earlier this week, I would have seen something from the Minister of Communications and Works, the Honorable Spencer Brand, and he would have had his team with him up there at Madden's, over there just above the storage tank that exists up there now at Madden's. Apparently they would have discovered water there. We all say water is life, but it was certainly something that was pleasing to me, in the sense that we are seeking to bolster the water situation here on Nevis. Right now as it is, there is some stability in the system, because I am not hearing about water on any media house or platform anywhere, so it suggests to me that the system as it is stable. But we cannot just rely on that. We are seeking to bolster what is already there, increase the amount of water that is available to us here on the island of Nevis. Of course, we can all recall that the Nevis Island administration would have entered into an arrangement or an agreement with a company out of Trinidad to drill 9 wells. And the areas where these wells will be dug, because information is power and you need to know. The first spot over there at Madden's, we call it, well, that is Madden's Estate. There's another point in Madden's where they'll also be exploring for water as well too. But the list of areas are as follows: Stony Hill up there in Rollins, Braziers, of course Braziers is here at the top of Government Road. Descent is over there in the police station area. In that general area you see the police station and the canteen for the Joycelyn Libert Primary School, and all those areas it's considered to be decent estate. Of course, over in camps as well, and I believe this would be somewhere close to the vicinity of the existing storage tank over there as well. I said Madden's Estate, and also Madden's in terms of the second location will be somewhere in the Madden's area. You'll see the activities as you go. Then there is a proposed site down there in Jessops as well, and indeed over in Tower Hill while you're up there in the Jessops area, and then Webb's Estate. Those of you who are not familiar with Webb's Estate, if you were to take a straight line down Matchman Road and go down into Simmons Estate, and then you'll get right into Webb's Estate. You can connect from either down at Hanley's Road or over here at Hickman's. So those are the 9 areas, and the reason why I'm happy that we have engaged this particular entity is because we've been engaging another entity here on the island for many years, and up to now we have only gotten 2 wells out of that company, but we have spent well over $30 million to get 2 wells dug that was supplying us, or should have supplied us, with 1 million gallons of water. We never ever got to 1 million gallons of water under that company. In the first instance, we never had the storage capacity for 1 million gallons, and then of course we never had the distribution network to get the water to any tanks to say we are storing 1 million gallons of water per day. That being the case, that is now history. We are moving on, because the people of Nevis was sold short in that particular deal, where we should have gotten 3 wells, but we ended up with 2, but we were paying for 3. As far as I'm concerned, and we spent over $30 million paying for electricity, paying for pumps that broke down. We paid for all kinds of things, and of course we ended up with 2 wells and not even what we were guaranteed, even though persons were talking for 10 years. 10 years they were talking about a contract with this company, which never supplied us with 1 million gallons of water, never gave us the 3 wells, because the 3rd well up there at Hamilton apparently needed an additional bit of equipment to get it mobilized so that it can provide water to our system and distribute, and it never happened. It happened under the CCM when we realized what the challenges were, and we figure, let us do what is necessary to bring, or to commission that well to bring it into fruition and bring water to the people of Nevis. So that being the case, I am so happy that we are seeing some success thus far, and I do believe, all being well, I am hoping that we'll see multiple success whereby these 9 areas would yield what we are hoping that they'll yield, and that is water for the people of Nevis. With all of the construction that we've seen, I am understanding, based on some data that I've received, that there are 500 applications currently at the planning department for construction of homes and other commercial buildings. So it therefore means every time you construct a building, you need water to that building. Water must be supplied. And every time you build, you also need electricity. But I'm talking about water now. But with this being the case, of course, those 500 applications will perhaps eventually translate into an active construction site, whereby right now as it is, there are 250 active construction sites here on the island of Nevis. So when you hear nothing happening on Nevis, I will tell you publicly and I'll tell you in person, the good things happening on Nevis. There are 250 construction sites here on the island of Nevis, and so every time you hear about a construction site, it therefore means money is being made by many persons and many entities. As a matter of fact, all of the hardware places are selling hardware supplies. Well, let's start first of all, because it is a step and stages where you get to the final product. Land has had to be bought or leased or whatever the case might be, had to be surveyed, and as I speak, just connect the dots in terms of who are making money. And of course, once it's surveyed, then of course plan has to be drawn. The plan is drawn, has to be, a bill of quantities has to be done. Person who does that they would be paid, and indeed once it's given to a contractor, then he and his team or she and his team will then go to work. All of them have to be paid. As I said before, hardware suppliers, whether it's TDC Horsfords or Island Tires and more, whomever suppliers, they supply the construction materials. Of course, as you go along, subcontractors would come in as well too, painters, plumbers, and electrician, all of those, tilers, all of those come in and they make money. And then of course, when it's all said and done, Nevlec and all of those other utilities will have to be connected, and monies are made by them on a monthly basis. Indeed, the owner would then have to pay their taxes, property taxes and so forth. So that one house will make hundreds of thousands of dollars will be circulating in the economy as a result of that one house. So if you're thinking about 250 applications or active sites, that are currently on the island of Nevis, then you have to tell yourself that construction is at a high. There's a boom in the construction industry, and as such, people are working. And the good thing about persons who work in the construction industry, every week, every Friday, they're putting some monies into the economy in all areas. Groceries, supermarket, shops and bars and entertainment here, there and everywhere. So is every week or every 2 weeks? I don't know how they get paid sometimes, but I know generally speaking, it is every week. So money is circulating, and money would have some exponential thing to it, in that once you spend $1 at, let's say, Best Buy, that doesn't sit there at Best Buy. Best Buy then go and use it to buy other things, and also pay their workers and do whatever. So that $1 can certainly do wonders throughout the economy. So when we talk about there is some economic growth and the economy is moving and the economy is thriving, some people have a problem with that because they look at the bare minimum. But we have to dig deeper into the issue, and then you'll see exactly how money is being spent and what impact money has on the economy, of course. Let's look at something else quickly. Speaking of money and speaking of the impact on the economy, I believe it was yesterday, the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, would have put out some statistics in terms of vehicles that have been imported into the island of Nevis. It seems as though some persons took offense to that. Well, let me say from the onset, I endorse everything that the Premier would have said, and I do believe that there is something to that data that tells a large story, a big story. And whoever don't see it and whoever don't want to agree with it, it is up to them. We live in a democracy and people will object to whatever they want to, but sometimes you have to be sensible about your objection to certain things, Because if the Premier said that these have had some economic impact on the island of Nevis, that is a fact. It is a fact, and whoever wants to deny it is up to them. Let me say this. When a vehicle is produced, when it's produced new or whatever the case might be, throughout its life, that vehicle is creating economic value along the way. I wouldn't want to say that it's an asset. It's not a fixed asset. It is one of those assets which is considered a depreciating asset, because it is an asset, but over time, while you own it for 5 years, it depreciates over those 5 years. And the longer you keep it, yes, it will depreciate. But of course, it continues to add value to your life. You buy a vehicle for various reasons. For example, I just talk about construction. There are some of those young fellows who would have gone into construction. You're telling me after a year or two and they decide, man, I want to make life easier for myself to get to my job, not to wait on somebody else to pick me up or to get on the back of a pickup or something. I say, I now have some money saved. As a young man, I want to go out there and purchase a vehicle. Now, the NRP is saying to that young man, go down to one of those distributors down there and buy a vehicle for $150,000. What a way to start life. Put $150,000 or $200,000 into a brand new vehicle. Listen, there's a market out there for everybody. The used car market is there for someone, and the new car market is there for someone else who can afford. So the data that was put out shows that between 2012 to 2024 up to October, at this point in 2024, there have been a total of 4,941 vehicles that have been imported into Nevis. A phenomenal number. 123 in 2012, 153 in 2013, 191 in 2014, 385 in 2015, 380 in 2016, 471 in 2017, 425 in 2019, 481 in 2019, sorry, 340 in 2020, 355 in 2021, 474 in 2022, and 560 in 2023. And of course, up to this point in 2024, there have been 603 vehicles imported into Nevis. And I read those numbers because not everyone is on social media. Not everyone will have access to this information. But at least I give that information. So up to this point, in 2024, we are at 603. We still have a couple more months left. And as far as I'm concerned, those boats that you see, those, well, I call it the big ugly boat. But anyway, those boats that you see coming to Bass there, they're coming back again, perhaps by the end of this month, but all being well, they'll be back next month, and then, of course, for December. And here's the thing. Here's the main reason for owning a vehicle. I applaud everyone out there who decides to own a vehicle. A vehicle provides you with flexibility. You can get up and go where you want to go when you want to go. Yeah? Whether new or old. But we're speaking about use. You pick up your vehicle and you go where you want, when you want, how you want, if you please. Yeah? So that's the flexibility. I mean, you can take a trip to Boston if you want to, get on one of these car boats and say, I'm going to St. Kitts. I don't have time for someone to pick me up. I'm going by myself and I'm going to drive myself around St. Kitts. You save time because you move at your own time. Don't have to wait for anyone. Of course, there's always the safety of driving yourself around, you know. Sometimes you feel more comfortable driving yourself than someone else. And of course, the privacy and the independence and freedom that comes with owning a vehicle. So those are the things that NRP don't want you as a used car owner to engage in. They don't want you to buy yourself a vehicle. What madness is that? You buy your vehicle and you go and you do what you have to do. They say time is gold. Time is gold, and if time is gold, a vehicle will be golden to have, because you'll save time, save energy, save that time when you have to wait on someone or when you have to impose on someone's time. So if I were to do some quick calculations, you know, this is just me doing some rudimentary maths, because at 4,941 vehicles at an average of $362 to what I call it now, license these vehicles. That's about $1.7 million just to license these vehicles. That set of vehicles that came in between 2012 and 2024. Yeah? I'm not counting all of the others. Because you have big trucks and small trucks and all kind of trucks on the road. So when the NRP is talking, I say to the young people, go and buy your vehicle if you have the financial power to do so. And while I'm doing that, let me applaud the banks. here on the island of Nevis, because the money that we have been saving, some of us have been saving and haven't been doing anything with that money. They take it up and they lend it out, and some young person out there is the beneficiary. And here's the other thing: once that young man or young woman go and take a loan for a vehicle, there is where they start to establish their credit rating with the bank. And that is important and serious, and that is the pathway to life and living, because you set up these loan situations, and then you go and you pay your loan. And I'm encouraging everyone, pay your loan, because that loan for that same used vehicle will then take you into a mortgage, you know. And that is the ultimate of every young person, is to own their own home. So once you establish that good relationship with the bank, then the bank know who you are, the bank appreciate what you have been doing, and the bank will then say, well, listen, come in and get a mortgage. Now you have a car, and you now have a house. You have a property. You raise your family, and in raising your family, you have all of those good characteristics that are passed on to your children. So that at least we know in life, we understand that we have to be responsible men and women. And that is how you have responsible men and women in the communities throughout the island of Nevis. And that is why you have a harmonious situation out there, where people are living good, understanding what the role they have to play in the development of the island of Nevis, and so they go and they execute. And so when I hear all these things, I just don't worry about those who are just trying to get a paycheck. Get into government and get a paycheck, because all of them who are making noise, all of them are in their twilight years. I'm going to get there too, but the reality is that's where they are, and I'm going to get there with God's help. But I want to say, young people, listen to people who are talking sense and go and do the right thing. Some of these persons who are importing these cars, I understand 71 of them are over there at Long Point. Listen to me good. Some of them have started rental companies already, you know. So these now may have in, or the 71 may have in, a couple of vehicles that they'll add to their rental fleet to bolster their fleet right on the cuff of the tourist season. Money gonna be made. It look like they vex when young people make money, you know. Money gonna be made. So if you had 2 cars and now you say you bring in another 2, that's 4. Imagine you're getting 4,000 a month for each one of those rental out on the road. My goodness. And it can happen. I paid for a rental some time ago, 2,000 I had to pay for 2 weeks. You can imagine. So it looks like they have a big problem with young people making money. But young people, if you want to bolster your fleet, if you want to start a rental in the first place, you can't start it with a $150,000 vehicle. Never. How are you going to start it with that? By the time you're done, the vehicle gone and you don't make back your money. So these used vehicles have the place here in the island. And I'm happy that young people are taking advantage. And listen, the water taxi over there, every day people coming over looking for transportation. Some go via taxis, some want to rent. So make sure you make your business accessible to them. I already see some, what do you call them, off-road, what do they call them, ATVs, parked up over there. It therefore means that someone sees the opportunity. I gotta get it right. They see the opportunity and they're seizing the opportunity. They see it and they're seizing it. And that's what you should do as young people. Listen, Facebook is not your time to, it's not for you to spend time on young people. There's no money to be made there. Those who are making money, they got to be up and down telling all kind of lies on people in order to make money. So they monetize at your expense. But the quote and catch up with them someday. I ain't even studied that. Let's not get off of what we're talking about. I'm talking about making money. And that same car, those same vehicles you see over there at Long Point, listen, customs will make some money, the port will make some money, inland revenue will make some money, the licensing authority will make some money, gas stations are going to make some money, tire repair shop going to make some money, body works shop, we're going to make some money, whatever you call them, body workshop. Listen, those who are going to put on some legal tints, going to make $100 and something, whatever they make out of it. Car wash going to make money. As a matter of fact, banks are making money, like I said. And of course, the car parts business. They'll make some money too, whether it's Frenchet up there at the top of Craddock Road, what do you call it, a Penniless, or down here by Island Tires. And of course, there's some young fellas out there, you know. I don't know if young ladies are doing it, but I know some young fellas are out there online and ordering parts as well too. So they themselves have been making some business, or making a business for themselves. So when you look at this and you say, you dismiss the fact that 4,941 vehicles have come into the island from, and this is not including any new ones that have come, you know, because TDC, Horsford, and whoever else bringing new vehicles, they keep bringing in vehicles as well when these boat comes as well too, eh? But we are focused on the used car market and what it means and how it has impacted the economy here on the island of Davis. And no matter what anyone says, it is one that is thriving and it will continue to thrive. And of course, we'll also look at the other side of it. Yes, there is some issues with these used vehicles. What I will say for now, as governments throughout the Caribbean, we have some lobbying powers. We are, all of us, I believe, have diplomatic ties to Taiwan. Why not lobby the Japanese government and say to them, listen, all of these used cars are coming out to us. We want you then to put a system in place whereby you can then come back and collect the scrap material, you know, take it back to Japan. The same big boat that comes into Bass there, send a big one like that. All of the Caribbean islands can fill it up and more, and send some of this scrap metal back to Japan. Sorry, I almost said Taiwan. But it goes back to Japan. And Japan would know what to do with it. But we have to be able to come together. CARICOM, for example. Or you can start with the OECS or go to CARICOM. As CARICOM heads, this is something that we can think about and put the necessary plans in place and see how we can lobby the Japanese to come back and collect these items. They can come back when that car would have lived its life. Instead of having it on a street here or in some pasture here, you gather up those scrap metal and material and send them back in the same boat. I don't think that is difficult to do. As a matter of fact, I will say to you that there was a company that came here from the United States sometime, I believe it was a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago. My understanding is that they're coming back. So that is a way to clean up the island of some of these and rid ourselves of some of these derelict vehicles. But I was looking further and to see how the entire Caribbean, where all of these Caribbean islands and nations are importing cars from Japan. And I'm sure if the lobbying is done, I do believe that the plans can be put together. Cannot be that difficult. The same way someone can come from the United States as a single company, a single individual, and do the necessary crushing and packing right here and put them in containers and send them back to the United States to be recycled. It's the same way some of these Japanese vehicles, these vehicles that come out of Japan can be done. It can be done that way. But we have to use our powers as Caribbean nations and Caribbean islands. We just talk. Look at all of the problems, but we're not coming up with the solutions. I just here sitting and thinking, and that is one of the things that came to mind. Whether it's doable or not, that will be left to those who can explore it to explore it. But from the heads of state, CARICOM heads, it is one that we can work together to ensure that we can lobby the Japanese government to come back for these scrap metals. So there is nothing wrong with them coming here and them being used by our people. But we have to have a plan thereafter as to what do you do with those scrap vehicles when they have lived their life. And that is one of the things that I have certainly come up with. Yes, so we're running out of time quickly. But quickly, I believe on the 16th, not I believe, yes, the 16th we celebrated World Food Day. And I am mentioning that because I can recall back in 2020 when we were hit with this pandemic, COVID-19, I would have seen many a persons posting trees they have planted then. And of course, some of those trees have eventually borne fruit, whereby persons are showing now that they're picking this and picking that, or harvesting this and harvesting that. I want us to get back to those days when we were uncertain as to what the future was going to be like. We were uncertain as to whether the boats will come on time, so we started planting our papaya, we started planting our breadfruit or banana trees, jelly trees, and all those things would have adorned our backyards. Some of us have continued to plant, some of us have continued to nurture those plants, and some of us have forgotten about where we came from in 2020. I want us to get back to that point, and the reason why I say that is because we would have avoided, or it was a situation that was developing in the United States, especially on the eastern flank of the United States and in the Gulf areas like Texas, where at least there was a strike that was on. Port workers were striking, port and dock workers were striking along the eastern seaboard, in places like Virginia, in Baltimore, even up in Boston and those areas, and even down in Florida. They were presenting a problem to us in that there were some uncertainties as to how long that strike would have gone on, existed, I must say. However, the good thing is that it lasted, I believe, for a week. It lasted for a week, and indeed things are back to some normalcy now. But with the hurricanes that went through Florida, Atlanta, and also North Carolina, and the subsequent one that came and went through Florida, Milton, we understand the challenges of getting goods out of the United States, because, of course, the United States can always put a freeze on anything that will be exported out of its borders, exported to the Caribbean or anywhere else. They are going to make sure that their people are fed. They are going to make sure that their people have access to what they need. And as such, we have to be cognizant of what is happening internationally or right next to us there in the United States. Yes, I said the strike was averted in a large degree. I am happy for that, because, of course, it would have spelled doom and gloom for us. We now know that when a boat is late, like Tropical is late for a couple of days, it creates pressures here in our supermarkets. I will say to you that this week, I had a chance to cook, and pretty much everything in that pot came from a local source, whether it was my papaya, whether it was my bananas, or I went across to those satellite stalls that are around the island and bought some sweet potato and one or two other things. But I know for sure that 99% of what went into that pot was local. Fish as well was locally caught here. So it tells me that we have to do more. We have to plant more and eat more of what we plant. We have to make food, our local food, our medicine, and our medicine must be our local food. We have to stick to what we are growing locally, and the challenges are there. I'll hear the monkey problem, and I'll hear this problem and that problem. But I'll say to you, outside of those problems, I'll say to you, if you do nothing, you get nothing. If you do something, you'll get something. You may not get all, but I'll tell you, the monkey cannot eat all. Monkey can't eat all, because you have to be more positive than that and make sure that you're planting what you need to eat. I'm going to leave it there for now, because of course we just have 1 hour on this program, but I just wanted to touch that and implore upon us to continue. Just cast your mind back to 2020 and tell yourself that the difficult days that you were seeing then, or what you thought would have come, which perhaps didn't come, they're coming at some point, and you want to be prepared. Plant something, go into your backyard. I know water is a challenge in some regard to some persons, but as far as I said earlier, there's some stability. But also I will say the weather is tough right now, but we're looking towards a much more, a much better time coming up later on in this year. In terms of November, all pundits, weather pundits are saying by November we should see a change in our weather circumstances and situations. So let's do that, and let us keep our focus as we go along, as we continue to build the island of Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, it's just about 1 o'clock, and like I always say, unless I get the funding to go overtime, Von Radio is saying that I have to pay it if I do. So I don't want to infringe upon what is to come or the programming to come. So that has been my show for today, and it was indeed my pleasure. I touched on a few things, but there are certainly other things that I had here intending to touch on, but there'll be another time. And of course, it was indeed my pleasure being here today. Thank you for listening. It is always my pleasure being here, and always good to have you in my company. Without you, I couldn't have a show, and I thank you for being with me. I want to say to you, if you go to church on a Saturday, please go and serve your God. If you go to church on a Sunday, please do likewise. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. May God continue to bless all of us. May God continue to bless the island of Nevis, and may we continue to prosper, and may we continue to be good citizens so that we can continue to build a harmonious and crime-free island. Thank you very much for listening. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.
You're listening to Vaughn Radio from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis. With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of